Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to our channel. In this video, we are going to have a look at top ignition coil problems and symptoms. If you have been experiencing issues starting your car, or if it is running rough, stick around as we explore some of the top symptoms of ignition coil problems. Understanding these problems can save you time, money, and frustration. First, let's quickly recap what an ignition coil does. The ignition coil transforms low battery voltage into the high voltage needed to ignite the air-fuel mixture inside the cylinders. Without a properly functioning ignition coil, your engine won't run smoothly. So, ignition coils are very crucial components of your vehicle's engine. They are responsible for providing that high voltage spark that ignites the air-fuel mixture inside the cylinder. When these coils fail, it can lead to range of drivability issues. In this video, we are going to have a look at some of the top problems and some of the things that can lead to ignition coil failure. 1. Engine misfire. One of the most common symptoms of a failing ignition coil is engine misfiring. You may feel the engine is shaking or vibrating, especially at idle or under load. If your engine stutters or hesitates, especially during acceleration, it may be time to check out your ignition coils. 2. Rough idling. Ignition coil issues can also cause your engine to idle roughly or idle unevenly, with the RPM fluctuating up and down. If your engine feels shaky when you are stopped at a traffic light, a faulty ignition coil could be the problem. 3. Poor fuel economy. As the engine struggles to run efficiently with a bad ignition coil, you may notice a drop in your vehicle's fuel economy. A malfunctioning ignition coil can lead to incomplete combustion, causing your engine to use more fuel than necessary. That will prevent the engine from extracting the entire energy from the admitted fuel, leading to waste of fuel. That can cause increased fuel consumption. 4. Check engine light. The computer will detect an issue with the ignition system and trigger the check engine light on your dashboard. If this light pops up, it is a good idea to get your ignition coil checked, as they may be sending error codes. Specific diagnostic trouble codes related to ignition coils will be stored in the vehicle's computer, which a mechanic can read using a diagnostic tool. 5. Difficulty starting the engine. A failing ignition coil can make it challenging to start the engine, especially when the engine is cold. If your car takes longer cranking to start, or if it doesn't start at all, an ignition coil issue might be present. It is worth checking the ignition coils. When starting, strong spark has to be provided, especially if the engine is cold. Igniting that air-fuel mixture admitted into the cylinder requires a strong, powerful spark. If there is a problem with the ignition coil, delivering a strong spark will be very challenging, and that can lead to difficulty starting, leading to longer cranking before the engine is started. 6. Engine backfiring. Ignition coil issues can also cause the engine to backfire or experience afterburning, where unburned fuel ignites in the exhaust system. This happens when unburned fuel ignites in the exhaust system, often due to a faulty ignition coil. Now, the ignition coil has to provide ignition spark at the right time. If there is a problem with the ignition coil and somehow the timing is shifted, that can let the exhaust valve open before complete combustion happens, and that can make some of the remaining fuel to get ignited into the exhaust, leading to a large popping noise generated through the exhaust pipe. And that engine backfiring can sometimes be caused by a problem with the ignition coil. 7. Loss of power. Faulty ignition coil can significantly reduce your engine power and engine acceleration, making it feel sluggish or unresponsive. If your car feels like it is losing power during acceleration, it might be due to ignition coil problem. 8. Increased emission. Faulty ignition coils can lead to incomplete combustion, resulting in increased exhaust emission and potentially failing emission test. If your vehicle is emitting more pollutants than usual, a failing ignition coil could be to blame. If there is a problem that is causing incomplete combustion to take place inside the cylinders, exhaust emissions like CO and hydrocarbon might increase due to that unburned fuel being expelled to the environment. So increased emission can be caused by failing ignition coil. 9. Engine overheating. Sometimes a misfiring engine can lead to engine overheating, stressing other components in your vehicle. This can be triggered by ignition coil that is failing to provide strong spark, and if this is not happening, the engine has to struggle in order to overcome the load that being kept on it. That can lead to engine overheating. 10. Fuel smell. If you smell fuel but don't see any leaks, it might indicate incomplete combustion, which could be caused by a faulty ignition coil. If the ignition coil is not providing sufficient and strong spark every time the cylinder reaches end of compression stroke, that might make raw fuel to be expelled from the cylinders, leading to fuel smell. So if you happen to smell fuel, raw fuel coming out of your engine, it could be an indication of a faulty ignition coil. 11. Spark plug fouling. Worn ignition coils may cause the spark plug to become fouled more quickly, requiring more frequent replacement. So whenever you do a pre-check, maintenance check on your engine, preventive maintenance check, have a look at the condition of the spark plugs. If you happen to notice that the spark plugs are fouled more quickly, it could be an indication of a failing ignition coil. If the ignition coil is not providing strong spark so that combustion can take place inside the cylinder, that could lead to spark plug fouling. 12. Hesitation, stumbling, or sputtering. When an ignition coil is failing, you may experience hesitation or stumbling when acceleration, as the engine struggles to maintain power. If your car hesitates or sputters when you press the gas pedal, that could be an indication of ignition coil problem. A bad ignition coil will not provide the strong spark required for acceleration. So, when you feel that hesitation or stumbling or engine starts sputtering, it could be caused by a failing ignition coil. If you feel vibration inside the cabin, it could be caused by abnormal combustion inside the cylinders. If, for example, the ignition coil is not providing spark at the right time for every cylinder, and if the cylinder is undergoing some kind of misfire, that can lead to uneven running, that can lead to vibration and shaking of the engine, and it could be caused by a failing ignition coil. And finally, if you happen to inspect physically, coil damage or cracks can indicate bad ignition coil. So visible damage, if you see any crack or burn marks on the ignition coil, it's definitely time for replacement. So these are some of the top indications of a failing ignition coil. In severe cases, a failing ignition coil can cause the engine to stall unexpectedly, leaving you stranded. Ignition coil problems can sometimes present intermittently, with the engine running fine one moment and then experiencing issues the next time. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, it is essential to have your ignition coil inspected and replaced if necessary. Ignoring these issues can lead to further engine damage and costly repairs. Remember, regular maintenance and prompt attention to ignition system problems can help ensure your vehicle runs at its best. Well, dear viewers, that is all we have for you in this video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more automotive maintenance tips. We hope to see you in another video. Until then, stay safe.